hear a lot of questions about the final portfolio. So let's go there first. This is portfolio. I just revised it because I put the dates that you could drop things off for those people who are online. You guys will be here physically, so that's not relevant to you. Mitsu, can I have a little bit more darkness? I think it'd be easier to read. Thanks. So the portfolio is worth 100 points, and you have two options. One option is 12 prints. So I think that answers your question. It's not, they're the best pictures. They have to be from this quarter. They can be from independent work or from assignments. They'll be graded on originality, treatment of subject matter, technical execution, and final presentation. And extra credit on the printed portfolio only. You can do 2 extra pictures for extra credit, or you can present it in a window mat. So you can actually cut a window mat. If you do a window mat, you can cut it. I'll teach you how to cut it for those of you that want to learn that. Or you can buy pre-cut mats. Both are allowed. But if you mat it, you'll get extra credit. If you do extra, you do extra credit on the printed portfolio only. Size 8 by 10 or 8 by 12 or larger. And it's due by Wednesday, June 17th. Okay, and here's the dates you can drop it off, or you can come to the final meeting. And you guys will come to the final meeting because you're the people who are here. And then here's either you pick it, I grade so that at the final meeting, we'll go through, I'll mark down all your grades and I'll hand you back your pictures so that you don't have to leave your pictures. And then option 2 is you can do 25 images in a Flickr album. There's no extra credit available on this option. You'll post the link to the album in assignments, tests, and surveys. They must be your best pictures from this quarter. And you have to consider their sequencing and their organization. And each image has to say something about why you chose it for the final portfolio. And then you have to do an essay of 300 words about your final project with the submission. Okay, any questions about that? Does that make sense? Yeah, Sarah.
Do we still write something if we're presenting it here or no?
I think there'll be a place if you want to write something, but I will only grade on the physical things. If you present here printed.
Yeah.
If you do an electronic presentation here, you will still need to write.
But printed?
Printed, you don't have to write.
Okay.
That's your other bonus for printing. Okay. No questions on that? Is that okay? Yeah.
So the window mat is what you showed here?
Uh-huh. The border. Yeah, the board.
Oh, just the border, not the board.
Yeah, it's a board. It's the physical
white
mat. So this is a window mat.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm going to teach you how to do that next week. So you'll learn how to make it, or you can pre-buy them. But that sort of brings us to the next really important idea about 8 by 10 versus 8 by 12 versus other sizes. And so let's go back to that. So you see the lines here on this one? Here's where an 8 by 10 would crop off. Here's where a 5 by 7 crops off. And here's where a 4 by 6, 8 by 12, and 12 by 18 would cut the whole thing, get the whole thing. 8 by 10 and 11 by 14, as I said, are based on glass sizes from the 19th century, 2 centuries ago. And so therefore, they're not the same shape as our 35 millimeter based cameras. So if you don't want to crop, you need to make an 8 by 12. Not every service will allow you to do this if you're going to print. And here are pixel sizes, and this really is important for the idea that you needed to keep your whole file, that you needed to not throw away your pictures and just keep a JPEG or a web-size picture, because these are the sizes you need to make an 8 by 12. So there's the size you'll need to make an 8 by 12 picture, 2,416 pixels by 3,624 pixels. Let's go to my Lightroom, and we'll look at this picture in my library, and we'll see that this picture is 4,912 by 7,060. That's a big picture because it came from a big camera, right? In fact, we can even see that it came from a Nikon D810. That's a particular professional level Nikon camera. So that's well big enough to make an 8 by 12 print, right? Let's look at another picture. Well, let's look at the pictures we were playing with. 2-star. Hidden Villa 2 stars. How big is this one? Well, this is also a raw file. This is also big, so that's not going to help us. This is actually a good example because remember I cropped it? So my crop size is still big enough for an 8 by 12. Okay. I'm going to go to a JPEG when I get there. Here, let me find a decent JPEG. So here's the JPEG of me. Look at the size on that one. That's what you see on the web. 450 pixels by 338. If I was to open this into Photoshop, what size print would this make? Two and a half by 1.878 inch print. You know, postage stamp would be too small for a postage stamp, okay? You need a lot of pixels to print a picture. Basically, in fact, I wouldn't print it at this size. I would print at 300 pixels per inch, which is required. So actually, this would only make a 1.5 by 1 inch print. So it's really important that you can have your web size picture, but you need to keep the originals to make sure that you have enough information to make a print. And so for an 8 by 12 picture, you need at least 2,000 by 3,000. You can upsample a little bit. Upsample means that you make it bigger. But when you upsample, you're going to start losing quality really, really fast. Now, I will say if you want to use a mat, but it's going to be a pre-cut mat, a couple things to remember. And let's pre-cut mats for 8 by 10. Here's so Michael's, which is someplace you might end up with a pre-cut mat for 8 by 12. Here is an 11 by 14 mat with an 8 by 10 opening. They say if you open it up and go to it, though, what you'll find out is that it actually has. Is it going to be honest? It's not an 8 by 10 opening. The opening is actually for photo size, but the actual opening is going to be 7 3/4 by 9 3/4. So if you make an 8 by 10 print and it's perfect, it's going to be smaller opening, and you're going to end up cropping again when you crop your pictures. So really, really think about that when you're ready mats.
It's a good idea to do the black border.
Well, you want to have a border, and you need to have, if you're going to get a pre-cut mat, you have to think about the sizes. So here we choose the mat size 8 by 10. Oh, those mat size is 11 by 14, but there you can see it's telling you that it's 11 by 14 mat. It's a 7.5 by 9.5 opening. So you have to plan your picture to fit in that opening when you get there. Okay, there's a lot of services that will print your pictures if you're going to send them out. I have links to a number of them. Anyone here have printed pictures outside? Where out printed pictures at a service? Who's printed pictures on an inkjet? So probably a few people. Okay. So in a service, all of these will have similar things. I'm going to go through them quickly. Costco, have to remember, downside, is cheap as dirt, upside. Tends to have relatively good quality, upside. You have to work with them. Ritz, their photo plays, a little bit more expensive. It's available online. Walmart, usually not very good quality. Can get 1 hour. They don't have any size but 8 by 10. You can't get an 8 by 12 at a Walmart. Shutterfly, one of the online services that I actually like working with. I don't tend to get prints from them. I tend to get silly things. Stuff. So where's my Shutterfly? So I've made cards with them. I've made this bag with them, which was really a bad idea. It wasn't very nice, but it's okay. So I made this bag. This is a bag that they bag with one of my pictures on it as a gift. I've made, let's see, photos, projects. I've made these cards. I made a pillow for my sister. I mean, so they're good for stuff. And they also make prints, and they're reasonably priced, and they'll ship them to your home. And if you sign up with them, you'll get free offers about every hour of every day. Bay Photo, next level. This is a professional level. This is where the wedding photographers would go. Some of the portrait photographers I know use Bay Photo. They are a very professional service. They offer a whole range of things. Their prices are going to be a little higher than Costco. They do have an upload where you'll upload them. They have they help you. They want to do good quality. But then again, their prices are going to be a little bit higher. So let's do prints on photo paper. You can see they have almost every possible size. So let's go to 8 by 12. So your 8 by 12. We'll start out with $4 a print for full color correction, $3 a print for economy, and then they'll mount it for you right there if you wanted it. So they're a good service. They're very professional. The next level up would be West Coast as a comparison. Are they serious? This is the place where people who are going to go into museum shows go. And the print is the performance. That's a quote from Ansel Adams. And you can see the about. They're actually in Oakhurst. They're made by photographers. They do really, really high-end prints, and they work with exhibition printmaking. So I mean, you would set your print, you would send your file, they would print it and give you a proof. You would study the proof, tell them what corrections you want, and then they would make a final print for you. And they do high-level drum scans for negatives, and you can actually work with their experts on this stuff. They used to have they used to have a lot of images from different clients, but it looks like now they're just putting off what they do. Steve Fitch, Bruce, here it is. Robert Glenn Cutcham is a very famous landscape. Michael Forsberg is another important photographer. And so you can actually go and see people that hire them to work with them. So they're like way high level. Just to go through it, I'm going to go to Costco and I'm going to go to photo. The things you'll see here, you'll see in most places. Photo service is right there. Sorry. Then you log in. You can see they know my name. I have lots and lots and lots of albums. Eventually, I hope. Albums, yes. Let's go to something. So you can make albums of your pictures. You can have different names on your albums. We're going to do a couple things. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to send this album. I'm going to order this entire album. There's that. And then I'm going to go back to my photos and I'm going to choose a different album. There's the clue game. It's right there. You can see I printed it here. Let's see. Do some Norway pictures. I'll just send a couple of people so you can see those. Some ducks. I'll do a dog. Okay. All right, so I'm going here, and what I want you to see is a couple things when we get here. First, when you start, you have the choice. I ordered too many pictures. Hurry up. Of having a border, having glossy or luster. The pictures you've seen here are all luster. Luster is probably my preference. Glossy tends to get marred really easily. It gets fingerprints really easily. It's good for a couple things, but it's very, very, very shiny, so I don't tend to use that. And you can either do it as is, or you can do a white border on the picture, your choice. Then you can choose sizes, all in a group of sizes. I'm going to do a few different sizes. I'm going to do an 8 by 10. I'm going to do an 8 by 12, a 4 by 6, and I'll just do that. Well, actually, I'll do a 12 by 18 just because, and I'm going to apply it to the entire cart. You can do one at a time also. But you can also see the sizes, I mean, the prices comparison. So an 8 by 10 is $1.79, which is about half of what Bay Photo was, probably about half of what, or 50% less than Walmart would be. Now, you'll see right away a couple things. Notice here the exclamation point. So even on these pictures, which are larger images, let me find one that I want to crop. Okay. So let's do the dog. So I'm going to go to the dog and I'm going to click on it. And it's going to open up. Oh, that wasn't what I was supposed to do. Sorry. So when you upload something to a service, you really want to pay attention to if it's giving you warnings like this, because those little triangles are telling you that the pictures aren't big enough to do that size. And if you have pictures that are too small, you have to do something. You'll have to do something else. I may have broken it. So that's the 4 by 6, no problem. There's the 8 by 10. Look at how that crops it. I'd have to decide where to put it. Here's the 8 by 12, which is going to be better, and here's the 12 by 18. But 12 by 18 has a problem because it's not enough pixels for a 12 by 18. That's the warning it's giving you. So we're going to do done. Okay, let's go down here and we'll see at this one. Look at here. There's a couple things it's warning you of. This is a picture from the slideshow. Even 4 by 6, there's not enough. And they're giving you the warning too that as you crop it, you're going to get a different, there's just not enough pixels to make the picture. So it's really important that you have a large enough print to be able to make a print. If not, it will come out and have texture and be pixely. There's the owl, same thing. It's too small to do the print size. I can, it's just not enough pixels, and I will have to choose since it was cropped. So that's something to think about. Once you order, I'm going to get rid of most of these, so I'm going to empty my cart. Okay. Take one of my airplane views. So here are the pictures. They're fine for 4 by 6s. If I go up and say I want an 8 by 10, it's going to warn me about cropping because it won't be the right shape. 4 by 6 is fine. 8 by 10. Look at how it's going to crop it if I did an 8 by 10. But I think this, will this make, I don't think this would be, and this one's not big enough to make it 12 by 18. So then let's not make the 12 by 18, let's just make the 8 by 10 and the 4 by 6 and the 4 by 6. You can see the prices here. When I continue, you have a couple of choices. You can decide to pick it up or have it shipped. And then you have to pick where you're sending it to. I'm sending it to Hayward because that's where I live. Then here, it gives you a time. In here you can actually say what you want printed on the back and whether you want it to be auto-corrected or not. I do profiling, so I go in and get the profiles, and I can teach anyone who, I have handouts, anyone who wants to get that deep into it, I'm happy to share those. But I don't just give them out to anyone because they don't need them. And then if I put the profile I don't want to autocorrect. And then I just order it, and I'll go pick it up at Costco. Same thing with Walmart, same thing with a couple other services that you do it live. Any questions about ordering your prints? How many people think they might print? Maybe. Okay. Get rid of all the windows. So here's the Walmart screen, very similar to the Costco screen. Here's some places you can go, Walmart or Costco, CVS, some Walgreens. They'll have these little machines, and so you'll actually bring memory sticks and stick them in there, and you'll be able to print from them. Always have a backup plan. When I go to these places, if I had to print something, like for an event or something, I'll have 2 ways to print it because I don't trust that you'll get there and then the USB will be broken or whatever. So always have a backup plan. The other option is inkjet printing. Some of the things you saw were printed on an inkjet printer. It's very nice to have a printer at your desktop, I'll say it honestly. I mean, to be able to see something and then print it and then study it and then fix it is a great advantage. It can be more expensive than some of the things we've looked at, and there's many places to go wrong. But they're very beautiful, particularly when you use nice paper, and we talked about going and getting paper samples in the paper part. This is one printer. This is a R2000 Epson printer that has good quality. This in the lab, here on campus, go to Epson, we have a couple different printers. So we use professional level printers, and the lab printers are the photo series. We have a 3880 in the lab and a 4900. So you can see this has 9 inks, 9 different colors of ink. And they're big canisters, and it's very, very good quality. You can see it's a lot more expensive too, but these are available in the Idea Lab for people who want to try them. The more different inks you have, the more colors it can express. One thing, if you are looking to buy, you can do some nice little prints on a smaller printer. The one thing I would watch out for is printers where all the color is in one canister. Because if you do that, when you use up a color, there may be more inks in there. So at least if you're going to get even a small desktop printer, it's better to get one that has a different can for each color. So if you print a lot of yellow flowers, you don't end up having to throw away your magenta and your cyan. It's a lot more efficient when you do that. Nowadays, you can find such good deals on printers, and what really costs money is the ink. And having to keep it full of ink is really hard. Some things here that it says about, they're more fragile and they're very easy to mar, inkjet prints, so you want to be careful with them. First thing is buy quality paper. It'll make a huge difference in your outcome. We saw some of that in the demo. Make sure that you indicate which kind of paper you're using in all of your dialog boxes. If you say you have one kind of paper but you put in a different kind of paper, you're not going to get good results. And in most of the printing things you're using, as you go down paper types, you're putting on more and more ink. So if you put too much ink on something, you can actually muck up your printer. Handle the paper by the edges, and when it comes out of the printer, find a flat place to dry. And then I put a sheet of archival drawing paper over top of it for 24 hours. That helps it off gas and can make it set it. It takes like 24 hours for an inkjet print to set. You don't want to just stock them up against each other, especially not face to face because they could stick. And then you want to have a box and to safely store your prints. There is an article on how an inkjet printer works and the printers in the Idea Lab and the KCI. So this was the prints printed at various locations. These were fixed in different services. One of the things I really recommend is you keep notes and you really think about what works for you. And you think about how you're going to improve your pictures. So by keeping careful notes of how you printed it, on what paper you used, being consistent, and making, I really mentioned that monitor calibration. If you go through that monitor, if you don't buy a calibrator and you go through the monitor calibration I mentioned earlier, when you make a print, then you can fine-tune your calibration. So you'll make a print, you'll study it, and you'll say, wow, my monitor's still too bright. Most monitors are way too bright. They're going to be off because they're made for TV, they're made for movies, they're made for gaming. And so generally when I'm working on my monitor, I have my laptop monitor at like 2 or 3 to do photo editing. So dark that it's almost annoying. But that means that when I print it, it actually looks like what I want it to look like. Questions on printing, on editing, on any of these things? As students, I really recommend you take advantage of your student discounts. If we go to Foothill Bookstore, you'll see that they have a lot of things they both have computers, but they also have software with up to 80% off. And so you want to talk to them about how you could get the best deal and what would serve you. So you can see they have Photoshop Elements, although actually it's cheaper online than in the art bookstore. That's crazy. So shop around. There are cheaper places. Lightroom 5, which is $79. That's very reasonable. And then they had the cloud up here for $239 for the whole cloud. I think that's a 1 year. Yeah, 12-month prepaid membership. Any thoughts, any questions, anything?